told
What was
one
the
all
name
the time.
again? Pardon me. Who?
Some guy called James, LeBron James.
Oh, okay. LeBron James.
James. Oh, okay. James, is he playing? When Michael Jordan smirked and asked, "Some guy called James." No one imagined those words would ignite the biggest scandal in basketball history. Days later, a mysterious video surfaced online, and fans were convinced the leak came from the legend himself. What followed would blur the line between rivalry and revenge. The clip that broke the internet. The morning the footage surfaced, basketball's digital ecosystem imploded. Twitter timelines, Instagram stories, and Reddit subreddits all detonated with the same claim. Michael Jordan just leaked private footage of LeBron James. Sports blogs raced to reconstruct the timeline, while fan forums stitched together theories about how the two most famous men in basketball could collide in something so bizarrely personal. According to an early aggregation on Sportskeeda, the first repost of the alleged clip appeared from an anonymous burner account traced in North Carolina, a state long tied to Michael Jordan's personal and business life. The account vanished after 32 minutes, but not before influencers like DJ Academics and sports commentator Skip Bayless screen recorded the material. Each framed it differently. Academics teased it as the biggest betrayal in hoops history, while Bayless insisted the clip was obviously planted. No one knew what they were actually watching. The original post was grainy, with blurred faces and audio so distorted that commentators could project any narrative they wanted onto it. Within that chaos, a deeper storyline began to take shape, one revolving around Jordan's supposed motive. 2 months earlier, during a press conference in Paris, Jordan had addressed the perennial comparisons between himself and LeBron. His remarks were cordial on the surface, yet analysts later replayed each sentence as if decoding subtext. When asked about LeBron's legacy, Jordan smirked, paused, and responded in what many later described as a measured dismissal. The raw footage from that conference became a forensic object in fan culture. What was the name again? Pardon me. Some guy called James, LeBron James. Oh, okay. Is he playing? The chuckles in the room were innocent at first, but online editors slowed the clip, zoomed in on Jordan's microexpressions, and captioned it as mockery. Hours after the so-called leak, the same segment resurfaced with conspiratorial voiceovers. Jordan was hinting he knew. Bloggers compared timestamps, claiming the footage must have been cued to drop in proximity to that Paris event, implying calculated intent. To understand why fans found this believable, one must revisit the decades-long cultural rivalry between the two icons. Michael Jordan, the consummate alpha of the 1990s, built his empire on control of image, brand, and narrative. LeBron James, in contrast, emerged during an era of digital transparency, where every text, partnership, and family photo could be reinterpreted as public currency. Their conflict was never about basketball metrics. It was about the authorship of greatness. Whoever owned the public story of basketball's evolution would, by extension, own its morality. Commentators from Bleacher Report reminded readers that Jordan's tight-lipped persona was legendary. He rarely commented on other players outside of promotional duties. That's why his light-hearted Paris remarks landed like a thunderclap. The humor, subtle as it seemed, reopened a rivalry Jordan himself had tried to ignore. LeBron supporters read it as contempt. Jordan's loyalists read it as dominance. When mysterious footage appeared later, depicting what some claimed was private behavior implicating LeBron, confirmation bias did the rest. The internet fused coincidence into conspiracy. By midday, TMZ had entered the fray, publishing a piece headlined, "Jordan Camp Shocked by Viral Clip Allegations." The article quoted an unnamed representative denying any connection. Michael has nothing to do with whatever is circulating online. But that denial only fueled speculation. Viewers noted that Jordan's camp didn't outright call the footage fake. They simply distanced him from it. In the language of scandal management, omission reads louder than denial. Sports law analysts explain that for any leak claim to stick, one must prove two things: authenticity and intent. Authenticity means the footage truly depicts who the public assumes it does. Intent means someone deliberately released it. Neither could be proven, yet the narrative was already irreversible. The story fit too perfectly within the mythology of Jordan versus LeBron, a master controlling his successor's humiliation. Social media monitors tracked how the rumor morphed in real time. At 8:12 a.m., it was a fringe tweet. By 9:40 a.m., verified accounts were posting side-by-side images of Jordan at the Paris presser and LeBron exiting a Lakers practice, captioning them, "Worlds collide." Within 2 hours, AI-generated memes had flooded TikTok. Jordan holding a smartphone with captions like, "Your move, King." The virality had no brakes. Meanwhile, Jordan's corporate branches, Jordan Brand under Nike, the Charlotte Hornets organization, and his PR firm Jumpman, went silent. No social updates, no press releases, no clarifications. Silence in a media storm always becomes an interpretive blank space. YouTube commentators filled it with monologues, asserting that Jordan's silence was confirmation. One of the most replayed sound bites from that Paris event came later in the same press conference when Jordan spoke about generational comparisons. He's one of the best players in the world. If not the best player in the world. I know it's a natural tendency to compare eras to eras, and it's going to continue to happen. I'm a fan of his. I love watching him play, but it's, as you can see, our league is starting to expand with very talented players. And, I think he's made his mark, will continue to be, so do so over a period of time. But when you start the comparisons, I think it is what it is. It's just a standard measurement. I take it with a grain of salt. In ordinary circumstances, this would have been praise. But contextualized against a viral chaos, critics framed it as sarcastic flattery. The phrase grain of salt became a meme, with Twitter users captioning the alleged footage. MJ said, "Take it with a grain of salt and a camera roll." Analysts from USA Today Sports pointed out that Jordan's phrasing, acknowledging LeBron's greatness while subtly reaffirming generational hierarchy, was typical corporate diplomacy. Yet, to conspiracy communities, every syllable felt intentional. When one Reddit thread unearthed metadata from the supposed leak's upload timestamp, showing it occurred within 48 hours of the Paris conference, the narrative locked into place. Jordan had delivered a coded warning in public, then allegedly triggered exposure in private. Whether rational or not, the public found catharsis in the drama. Sports talk shows pivoted overnight from trade rumors to moral analysis. Shannon Sharp framed it as the myth of invulnerability collapsing. Skip Bayless countered that LeBron built his kingdom on social image. Now, he's trapped by it. Each segment pulled millions of views, proving the topic's gravitational pull went far beyond basketball. Back-channel insiders fed blogs alleged details about NBA communications staff scrambling to contain the situation. A senior league official allegedly told The Athletic, "We can't comment on player-related personal media." That non-statement echoed the pattern of avoidance familiar in celebrity crisis. By refusing to define the narrative, institutions allowed fan imagination to do the heavy lifting. Jordan himself remained unseen. No tweets, no interviews, no public appearances. The vacuum amplified suspicion. Old interviews resurfaced where Jordan discussed brand integrity and control over his image. Well, it's not just myself. I think the NBA is very fortunate to have a talented young man who shows a certain passion about the game. And that's something that, you can't give. You're either born with it. Commentators twisted those words to suggest he was speaking in doublespeak, that he was simultaneously praising and condemning LeBron. It didn't matter what the original context was. Virality thrives on reinterpretation. By the second day, searches for Michael Jordan-LeBron footage outperformed NBA Finals queries across multiple regions, according to Google Trends. Marketing analysts noted that the controversy paradoxically boosted both players' merchandise sales. Jordan Brand reported a 6% spike in online engagement, while LeBron's signature line saw a parallel surge. Outrage had become commerce. Yet, amid the hysteria, fragments of real human tension emerged. Fans revisited an older interview where LeBron admitted he and Jordan weren't close. That clip, originally a harmless conversation about mentorship, was now interpreted as emotional foreshadowing. "We don't talk." Why not, you think? 'Cause I'm still playing. I think I'm still playing. I'm still focused on my craft right now. That single exchange became a Rosetta Stone for online psychoanalysis. The theory evolved. LeBron's ongoing career represented unfinished business to Jordan, a living challenge to his supremacy. The alleged leak, conspiracy theorists claimed, was not about privacy, but about hierarchy, a symbolic attempt to reassert dominance. PR strategists from Variety weighed in, suggesting that if Jordan truly wanted to sabotage LeBron, he wouldn't need a leak. He could simply out-narrate him. But audiences preferred melodrama over logic. They wanted a villain, and Jordan's reputation for ruthless competitiveness made him the perfect candidate. By the week's end, the clip's origin remained unverified. Yet, its cultural imprint was indelible. Michael Jordan, the man whose entire career symbolized perfection, was accused of orchestrating imperfection in another man's life. LeBron James, the athlete celebrated for transparency and activism, became an unwilling cipher for the dangers of visibility. Comment sections beneath ESPN and complex posts reflected polarization. Half demanded accountability from Jordan, half mocked the gullibility of LeBron's defenders. Memes depicted Jordan as a puppet master pulling digital strings. Fans circulated doctored screenshots of text messages allegedly from Jordan to NBA executives, none authentic, all compelling. When ESPN re-aired the full Paris press conference without commentary, the gesture was meant as neutrality. Instead, it reignited the storm. Viewers projected meaning onto every blink, every smirk, every pause. He is a heck of a basketball player, without a doubt. That simple acknowledgement became the meme caption. Without a doubt, looping under parody edits of Jordan laughing. The boundary between humor and hostility collapsed entirely. By now, crisis management experts speculated that both camps, Jordan's and LeBron's, had entered coordinated silence, letting digital entropy exhaust itself. It was a time-tested strategy. Let outrage burn out. Yet, the rumor's longevity proved otherwise. The internet no longer waits for facts. It metabolizes emotion. Behind the scenes, Nike reportedly convened emergency meetings to assess brand collateral exposure. Though Jordan Brand operates semi-independently, its parent company shares risk and reputational crisis. Executives feared a generational backlash if Gen Z audiences interpreted the alleged leak as homophobic aggression. To preempt that, the company quietly increased visibility for its Pride-themed campaigns, signaling inclusivity without addressing the scandal directly. Meanwhile, LeBron's media arm, Sprinkle Entertainment, was rumored to be preparing a controlled response video. Insiders told The Ringer that editors were combing through archival footage to frame LeBron as resilient under smear campaigns. Nothing official emerged, but whispers alone sustained anticipation. By this point, the narrative had mutated into a morality play. Commentators invoked themes of masculinity, vulnerability, and generational change. Jordan's archetype, stoic, untouchable, perfectionist, was contrasted against LeBron's persona, empathetic, vocal, digitally open. The supposed leak became a symbolic act. Old-school repression striking against new-age transparency. When CNN Sports Division finally addressed the matter, their headline, LeBron-Jordan tensions resurface amid viral hoax, effectively labeled the footage a fabrication. Yet, the correction barely dented public belief. Once myth calcifies, truth becomes optional. That's why, even after major platforms purged the original uploads, re-edit versions kept reappearing with clickbait titles. Watch before it's deleted, MJ caught on tape, LeBron's private truth. Each re-upload perpetuated the idea that suppression equals legitimacy. The psychological impact on fan communities was immense. Discord groups dissolved in factional disputes. Moderators quit under harassment. A subreddit dedicated to LeBron's career went private after receiving thousands of graphic comments. Analysts observed how parasocial attachment, viewers feeling personally connected to athletes, transformed the rumor into betrayal trauma. To them, LeBron's imagined fall felt like personal loss. As part one of the saga closes, the core mystery remains unresolved. Did Michael Jordan truly have any link to the viral footage? Or was his decades-old rivalry with LeBron simply exploited by digital opportunists? The absence of clarity is precisely what fuels the story. Silence becomes narrative. Perception becomes evidence. In the next segment, the focus turns inward to LeBron himself. how his own words from past interviews, his self-mythology, and his complicated admiration for Jordan inadvertently deepened the suspicion. Because sometimes the loudest confession isn't spoken, it's remembered. LeBron's silence and the hidden rivalry. By the time the smoke began to clear, all eyes had turned to LeBron James himself. Public silence had been his initial shield, but the longer he remained quiet, the louder the speculation became. His name was still trending at #1 worldwide for 5 consecutive days, outranking political debates and even major playoff coverage. Fans were split between empathy and suspicion. Some demanded that LeBron clear the air. Others warned him that addressing it would legitimize the falsehood. For an athlete whose brand is built on transparency and self-expression, silence carried its own weight. LeBron's team, media strategists, family advisors, and sponsors reportedly convened several crisis calls within the first 48 hours, as revealed by The Ringer. According to one insider quoted there, the internal directive was clear. Don't feed the storm. Let perception collapse on itself. But perception didn't collapse. It evolved. Each hour, without comment, invited reinterpretation. Anonymous blogs began citing close associates, claiming LeBron was personally devastated by the viral clip. Even without confirmation, those claims reached millions. For context, LeBron's public relationship with Michael Jordan has always been one of paradox, simultaneous reverence and resistance. He has repeatedly called Jordan his idol, yet never managed to build a personal connection with him. In a 2023 interview, LeBron himself acknowledged the uncomfortable gap. The clip, recorded long before this controversy, resurfaced everywhere, looping as alleged evidence of emotional tension between the two legends. Who? Me and Michael? Jordan? Yeah, we're in a good spot. We don't talk. Why not, you think? Because I'm still playing. The admission was harmless at the time, a statement about competitive boundaries. But when revisited through the lens of the leak rumor, commentators twisted its meaning. Journalist Jemel Hill told CNN, the Jordan-LeBron rivalry is mythology, not history. People project their moral binaries onto it. Loyalty, betrayal, masculinity, legacy. That framing explains why an unverified clip could carry such nuclear emotional charge. Viewers weren't just watching an alleged leak. They were relitigating decades of cultural power between two archetypes of greatness. Inside NBA locker rooms, players avoided public comments. Yet, subtle gestures hinted at divided loyalties. During pre-game warm-ups, multiple players from different teams were spotted wearing hoodies with the phrase, "Keep your legacy clean." Merch trackers found those hoodies originated from a limited Jordan brand drop weeks earlier. Fans interpreted that as veiled messaging from Jordan loyalists, a kind of silent endorsement of the legend's superiority. Whether coincidence or marketing serendipity, the optics were impossible to ignore. At the same time, commentators replayed LeBron's reflections on legacy, searching for signs of insecurity. Sports culture has always thrived on dichotomies, past versus present, dominance versus empathy. But digital rumor economies feed on another binary, public versus private. The suggestion that Jordan, the most image-controlled athlete alive, would expose another man's private life struck people as poetic justice or moral collapse, depending on allegiance. Commentators from The Guardian observed, in modern fandom, humiliation becomes entertainment. The myth of the leak satisfies collective voyeurism under the guise of justice. Behind closed doors, PR consultants scrambled to stabilize LeBron's partnerships. According to Business Insider, brands tied to his name, Nike, Beats, and Sprite, quietly activated crisis clauses in their contracts, mandating social media monitoring and content freezes. No sponsor wanted to appear insensitive by promoting campaigns, while their ambassador's reputation was under siege. The financial ripple was immediate. LeBron's social engagement rate dropped 27% within the week, even though his follower count continued to climb. Still, silence was no longer viable. Pressure mounted for LeBron to say something definitive. His advisors debated between a press conference and a controlled interview. Ultimately, the consensus was to let authenticity do the work, to speak on his own platform rather than a network's. The problem was that any tone he adopted, defensive, dismissive, or emotional, would be weaponized. One wrong word could reignite the entire controversy. Meanwhile, Jordan's public reemergence came indirectly. A leaked email chain between PR executives at Jumpman, obtained by Business Insider, revealed discussions about brand distance from unverified digital controversy. One line read, "Maintain dignified silence. Narrative collapse favors credibility." That phrase, dignified silence, quickly became a meme hashtag. It also underscored the irony that both men, while symbolically at war, had adopted identical survival strategies. LeBron's publicists seized that moment. Rather than addressing the clip's veracity, they pivoted to empathy, amplifying positive messages about inclusivity. Within days, LeBron reposted an old interview where he discussed respect and acceptance, captioned simply, "Love who you are always." The timing was unmistakable. Outlets like NBC Sports framed it as LeBron's classy response to a viral smear. Public sentiment began to tilt back in his favor. The fallout: how the NBA tried to bury the truth. By the second week, the entire rumor had evolved from a digital scandal into a full-scale media phenomenon. Major networks, brand boards, and even the NBA's communications department were now part of the conversation. No one wanted to say the phrase out loud, but everyone operated around its gravitational pull. Behind the scenes, publicists, sponsors, and legal teams worked to untangle what had already metastasized into one of the most viral sports controversies of the decade. An internal memo leaked from the NBA's public relations office, published by Sports Illustrated, advised executives to avoid language that reinforces personal or speculative narratives involving players. The document underscored the league's panic. For an organization that has spent decades marketing basketball as family-friendly entertainment, the idea that two of its greatest icons were now entangled in salacious rumor threatened more than image. It threatened trust. The NBA's myth depends on reverence, and reverence doesn't coexist with scandal. Corporate stakeholders were particularly anxious because both men represented distinct commercial empires under the same umbrella. Jordan Brand, still a Nike subsidiary, functions as a self-contained cultural entity. LeBron's line, also under Nike, appeals to younger audiences who value authenticity and activism. As Business Insider noted, the worst-case scenario for Nike isn't that either player falls. It's that consumers start choosing sides. A split market between Team Jordan and Team LeBron could fracture decades of marketing synergy. Brand strategists acted quickly. Jordan Brand social channels posted archival clips celebrating sportsmanship and unity. Highlight reels of Jordan embracing rivals, paired with captions like, "The game connects us." LeBron's pages mirrored the tactic, spotlighting his charity foundation and community work. Neither post referenced the controversy, but both radiated moral clarity. Audiences noticed the symmetry. It looked rehearsed, almost corporate in its coordination, as though two legends had reached a nonverbal truce through branding alone. That old Jordan quote referring to the late Commissioner David Stern resurfaced during this phase as evidence of how Jordan once understood institutional vision. Commentators argue that Jordan now faces his own moral test, whether he would rise above pettiness and protect the league's integrity, just as Stern had protected his. Sports historian Bill Simmons wrote on The Ringer, "Every era produces its mythic feud, but this one might end up defining how celebrity authority operates in the algorithm age." Inside LeBron's camp, fatigue was visible. A source close to his production company told Rolling Stone, "LeBron's mindset is to always control your narrative. But this time, he can't control what never existed." The paradox was devastating. He was fighting shadows. The footage itself had disappeared from mainstream platforms after multiple copyright takedowns. Yet, the idea of it persisted like folklore. Once the collective imagination embraces a story, removal becomes irrelevant. The ghost of the clip was more powerful than the clip itself. A major turning point came when the New York Times published an investigative piece headlined, "Inside the Viral Hoax That Shook the NBA." The report confirmed that the so-called footage originated from a network of deepfake creators known for targeting celebrities to generate ad revenue through shock content. Metadata analysis revealed no links to Jordan or anyone in his orbit. The story should have ended there, but instead of closing the case, it deepened public cynicism. Many refused to believe that such a convenient exoneration wasn't part of an orchestrated cleanup. Digital skepticism had become a religion. Every denial looked like proof of a cover-up. Comment sections flooded with messages like, "They paid the Times," and deep fakes are just code for real leaks they can't admit. In the attention economy, disbelief is a currency. Meanwhile, Lebron suddenly began reframing his public persona from victim to teacher. During a charity event live stream, he was asked about handling online negativity. His answer was restrained but revealing. You know, at the end of the day, you gotta know who you are, and you can't get caught up in what people are saying about you. You just gotta keep moving forward. The line went viral again, this time as redemption meme material. Fans began captioning it over unrelated conflicts. When you survive the internet through irony. LeBron reclaimed control of tone. Jordan, for his part, remained elusive. He appeared briefly courtside at a NASCAR event, his new business pass.